I'd like to call this meeting to order. Would you please stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance with me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. First item on our agenda is that we are going to do an oath of office for a new officer for the Shelton Police Department. And so, I am going to come down with Chief Moody and do the oath.
You get to stand on stage. So, this is Jason Lawson. He took a long road to get here. He was born in Oregon and traveled the world with his father in the Coast Guard. In '96, he graduated from high school. And in '97, joined the Coast Guard and spent 5 years there in several units. He was hired by DOC in 2002 and worked his way up to sergeant there. In 2015, he was one of the attendees of our Reserve Academy. He went to work for Squaxin Tribal and attended the FLETC Academy. He worked for Squaxin for 1.5 years, and I graciously thank the Squaxin chief for letting me steal Jason away over here to the city of Shelton. And he has 2 daughters, age 15 and 17.
All right, are we ready to?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's see how we want to do this. Why don't you come on over here? You come over with me, Chief, too. You better come over. Yeah, there you have it. And you.
She's going to do it. Jessica's going to do his badge.
Okay. All right. Let's see. She's going to do a photo. So why don't you stand next to the chief right here? And then I'll hand you this, and then I'll take it back. This is like from the record. You wouldn't want to get caught stealing. Not in this term. All right. Repeat after me. I'll raise your right hand. I, Jason Lawson,
I, Jason Lawson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of Washington,
and the Constitution of the State of Washington,
and abide by the Code of Ethics
and abide by the Code of Ethics
of the Shelton Police Department,
of the Shelton Police Department,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of the police officer for the city of Shelton.
of police officer for the city of Shelton.
Thank you very much. Here it is. And I'll take this back. Thank you. Give him a round of applause, please.
Perfect. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
All right, next on the agenda is our weekly commission reports. And so, Commissioner Moore, did you have a report?
Actually, I won't be attending meetings this week, although I will be visiting a CLT plant in Southern Oregon in an attempt to woo them up to our area. CLTs are cross-laminated timbers. It's a new industry for Washington State, and we have the raw materials, and I believe it would be an amazing thing if we could attract a CLT plant to our urban growth area. So that is my report.
All right, thank you very much. Commissioner McDowell?
Well, my week's kind of busy. I have a few weeks quiet, and then it all of a sudden gets busy. Tomorrow, I will start out with my left board meeting at 8 a.m., and then I'm going to try and attend the county commissioner and the PUD commission tomorrow morning also. And tomorrow night is Community Pride Night at Shelton High School at 5:30, so I'm going to try and get to that. Wednesday, I have my Memorial Hall board meeting, empty bowls at 5, and chambers after hours up at Maple Glen. Thursday, briefing with Ryan, and Saturday, I'm excited. I get to be a judge at the Skookum Rotary Science Fair that will be, I believe it's at Olympic Middle School. I think that's where it is. But anyway, I'll find out later. But anyway, I'll be doing that on Saturday. That's my week.
Thank you very much. On Wednesday, I'm also planning to attend the Chambers After Hours at Maple Glen. Friday night, I will be practicing up at the high school. Or, well, I will be doing it on Saturday night, so I hope everybody here and within the mic's range. I remember that this Saturday night is the annual Forest Festival ceremony for the coronation, for the swearing in of the new princess and the queen and Paul Bunyan. And
I'll probably
Smokey
be there.
Bear and all those things. So that's Saturday night at 7 o'clock up at the high school. And so I'll be doing it for the, I think, the sixth time or the fifth time, doing the kind of announcing for the coronation. And so looking forward to that. That completes our weekly commission reports. And next on the agenda will be general public comment period.
We have Forrest Cooper.
Okay, Forrest Cooper.
Thank you very much, Commission. I'm Forrest Cooper, 409 West Railroad Avenue and 807 South 14th. Last week, the downtown experienced a change to the traffic signal at 4th and Railroad to determine if a two-way stop would be adequate to replace the aging traffic control signal. After only 1 week, the city determined it had enough data to remove the signal and install stop signs and rapid flasher crosswalk signals. After a couple years of studying the intersection myself with the question of if the signal was needed or not, I found the benefits of the signal to the safety of both vehicle and pedestrian traffic to be notable. In addition, the aesthetic impacts by the installation of 8 giant yellow crosswalk signs and 16 flashing lights in close proximity to 2 registered historic buildings will be severe. I spoke with both building owners and they were also very concerned about the change. A few years ago, the city had a replacement control box for the intersection budgeted for $48,000 or $49,000 and chose to remove it from the budget as the downtown visioning was just about to get underway. The cost for the rapid flashers per crosswalk will be around $13,000 each or $26,000 total. There are alternatives that are more appropriate for historic areas and also more effective. In my opinion, a rapid flasher is not appropriate for an intersection installation with multiple crosswalks and cross streets as the one at 4th and Railroad. The flasher can have the negative effect of directing a driver's attention entirely to that crosswalk only and might make a pedestrian in another crosswalk more vulnerable to collision. Crosswalks in an intersection should be treated equally, whether it's illumination, visibility, treatments, or signals. Rapid flashers and in-street crosswalk warning signals are more effective at mid-block crosswalks, where vehicular cross-traffic is a non-issue. This could be a possible solution for installation on Railroad Avenue between 3rd and 4th at the clock tower, and a possible raised crosswalk would also serve as a traffic calming device. Until the determination of a permanent design for Railroad Avenue, along with an extensive study of the intersection, can be concluded, it is premature to remove an existing signal structure. A proper study should account for seasonal traffic fluctuations and also additional truck traffic as the mill operations increase. Please, Commission, motion to postpone the removal of the traffic signal at 4th and Railroad to a later date as to allow the public to weigh in on this issue and further data to be gathered. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have Kevin, we have Kevin Schmelzen.
Pretty close.
Just state your name for the record, please.
Yes, good evening. My name is Kevin Schmelzlin. I'm here tonight to voice my opinion against the city's current stance on the Shelton Hills development in the short and intermediate term. Downtown Shelton businesses are struggling because of our city's less than stellar reputation, inability to drive traffic from the 101 into city limits, inability to capture secondary tourism dollars while tourists are here, and lack of use as a central hub by Shelton area residents. The answer isn't to build a second Shelton, it's to improve the Shelton we already have. And I believe you do that by working with the county and focusing business development, from city center exit on the 101 toward downtown, connecting the two and driving tourism downtown, supporting the small businesses that already exist here through creative, low-cost solutions and local partnerships, and creating a conducive environment for entrepreneurial success that will drive local employment and business ownership growth, as well as encourage outside development. an investment. I do not have a problem with the Shelton Hills development in the long run or the city's other recent expansion plans in the long run. I have seen a drop of Shelton Hills, and it looks very nice, thought out, and at the wealth level that could potentially spur economic growth in this city. However, all those things are reasons why the proposed developments are located in the wrong location for anything other than long-term development. It is obvious where the city's growth priorities are at or beyond the northwest corner of the existing city limits, which is great for bringing tourism dollars to the city, but not for supporting our current businesses, downtown, and the neighborhoods around them. Anybody who has been down Coda or First Street can tell you that downtown Shelton does not look like a successful city. Tourists don't stroll around after grabbing a quick bite at the Dairy Queen or at Smokin' Moe's. By focusing on putting more visible dining, shopping, and sleeping accommodations away from downtown, taking away even more incentive from 101 drivers to visit those businesses, I think is a major disservice to our existing small businesses. I hope you will reconsider your current proposals. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you.
We have Randy Lewis.
Hi, everybody. Randy Lewis, resident of the northwest corner of the Shelton urban growth area. Just as an aside, I did have the pleasure of meeting Jason this afternoon. He was very professional. But that's not what I wanted to talk about. As far as I know, the city has not yet signed a contract with Mason County Garbage or passed a mandate. Therefore, I'm hopeful that at least one commissioner instructs staff to continue negotiating a deal, and I have some comments. It is not only misguided, but very dangerous to make a decision on a deal using a single deterministic projection of CPI levels based on CPI results of the last 11 years. To quote in part a past president of the Society of Actuaries in a recent blog, if anyone could forecast the CPI with any credibility at all, they'd be the richest people on the planet. So my question is, why does the proposal include incurring a debt that the ratepayers have to pay off using Mason County Garbage as your bank? If you need $1 million that bad, why not just take out a low-interest loan with level fixed payments from a real financial institution? Would any of you take out a loan with the following payoff schedule? Your payments are going to increase at least 2.5% a year, and not only that, they could increase more without any limit. But you won't know until you get there. The presentation also included a list of city staff expense allocations totaling $500,000 funded by what is being called revenue sharing. The question on that is, once the transition is completed and Mason County Garbage has taken over all administrative functions, why does the city need revenue to cover garbage expenses that the city is no longer incurring? Let us call this revenue what it really is. It's a kickback of Mason County Garbage profit back to the city government funded by the garbage ratepayers. This is not revenue sharing, this is profit sharing. Otherwise, Mason County Garbage would not be sharing this money. I thought the city was not supposed to make a profit. Another question, shouldn't the value of a solid waste franchise exist for the benefit of the ratepayers and not for the benefit of the city government? Whatever money these solid waste kickbacks provide should be spent strictly on whatever solid waste expenses the cities may still incur, not, for example, to retire sewer debt. There's no magic about starting in July. A meteor isn't going to fall on Shelton if Mason County Garbage takes over in September, for example. The start date is an item in the proposal that can be negotiated like anything else. To say this has already been discussed for 2 years is not relevant. The details of the proposed deal were publicly disclosed only very recently, just 1 week before the vote. Thank you.
We have nobody else.
Okay, thank you very much. Next is the reading of our consent agenda.
Sorry, could I respond to one of the comments there?
You can do anything you want.
No,
You are a
thanks. Yeah.
commissioner of the city of Shelton.
Okay, well, this is interesting, and I really appreciate everyone coming and giving comment on this. I will say that on each of these comments, I have similar concerns, and probably most applicable to my statements right now are that I do have some concerns over the design of the crosswalk at 4th and Railroad, and I would encourage us to take more time in looking at that and get more public input. I'm concerned about the visual distraction from our historic buildings, number one, and I'd like to see if there is something maybe more in keeping with our historic downtown than that big yellow signs and the flashing lights at an intersection. And so that's all I wanted to say, is that I appreciate all the comments, and that's the one that in particular I have a strong feeling about.
And what I will say at this time, since how we've opened up Pandora's box, is that every time anyone comes and speaks before our commission, I know I do, I write on here. Let's see here, what's that name right there, Commissioner McDowell? Says-
Forrest.
Okay, and then let's just, it says.
Kevin.
And what's that one say?
Randy.
Okay. So we write all your comments down, and what we do is we talk to our city manager, and we think about those things as these things progress. And so nobody's comments are ignored, but we don't have long discussions in our commission meeting about that. We talk about those, we think about those, and we greatly appreciate public comment. That's why we have it. So anyway,
Nothing from
did
me.
you want to enter into this and
No,
have a general
I just
debate?
appreciate people coming up and speaking how they feel and what they're thinking.
Absolutely. We are one big happy
And we
family.
don't ignore you. We talk about it and discuss it and whatever, so
Every
anyway.
week, I write down these comments, so. Okay, moving right along, are we ready for a reading of the consent agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, could you please have that?
Consent agenda. Vouchers numbered 13809 through 13880 in the amount of $304,242.87. Voucher numbered 13782 in the amount of $1,014.67. Commission meeting minutes from study session of January 23rd, 2017, study session of January 30th, 2017, and business meeting of February 6th, 2017.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move we approve the consent agenda as read.
I second that.
There's a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda passes. We have an item this week, actually there is nothing on the action agenda this week, but we have a few items under the business agenda. And so the first item is going to be the revised design and construction standards for something, and it's going to be given to us by our associate engineer, Logan Brady.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. The purpose of this briefing is to present the proposed revisions to the City of Shelton Design and Construction Standards for 2017. This is supposed to happen annually, but it doesn't look like it's happened in quite a while. We will be doing it annually going forward, and because it hasn't been done in a while, it was a big undertaking. I would like to thank the guys who put a lot of hard work into it. Bob Tauscher, Mike Albaugh, Brent Armstrong, Scott Whiting, Brian Doby, Ken Dickinson, and Craig Gregory. The packet in front of you is a list of all the changes to actual substance in the design and construction standards. There were numerous changes to grammar and punctuation and formatting. Those are not on here. In the interest of time, because there's so many changes, most of which involved adding definitions or clarifying language that was confusing, or just updating preferences to brands. I was just going to discuss the revisions that impact cost. We made these changes with the goal in mind of not raising the cost of construction. On page 2 is the first change that impacts cost. Section 2.230, section A4, we deleted the coloring agent for downtown sidewalks. The original purpose of the coloring agent was to make the sidewalks match existing sidewalks. It hasn't worked. The coloring fades over time. So we removed that from the standards. The estimated savings is about $5 per cubic yard. In drawing T1 in the transportation section, we revised the crosswalk width from 12 to 24 inches to meet federal standards. There will be a small increase in cost there, about $50 per crosswalk. On page 5, we changed the blow-off pipe on a water line from PVC to bronze or galvanized. PVC is not strong enough to withstand the pressure of a blow-off pipe. There's a small increase in cost there, about $15 per blow-off pipe. On the last page, in the sewer section, we revised a T-cross from a T to a cross to allow for cleaning. It was just a previous oversight in the design that prevented us from being able to clean out the pipe. That will increase the cost about $100 per construction, but it's very few and far between.
Any questions or comments for Logan?
I do. So how many these blow-off pipes are going to be? You just have $15. How many are there?
I would have to check on that.
Okay.
For new construction, less than 10 per year, I would think.
I love looking at these all zeros.
Yep.
Good job. Yeah.
I don't think he did.
Well,
I mean, he might have, I don't know.
yeah, I think so. I like it. You know, the majority of them are zeros, and there's a couple hundreds and a 15 and whatever. Actually, it comes to about $300 or so, maybe
Yep.
more. It's pretty good.
All right, any other more questions or comments for Logan?
Not yet.
So for this, we're just asking that you concur to move it forward to next week's action
Yeah.
agenda?
Okay.
That's what it looks like to me. So, as our city manager said, we'll place this on the action agenda for March 13th, 2017. Now, Logan's also going to talk to us about a right-of-way permit for PUD, with PUD, and so why don't you stay up there and continue on with your process?
Absolutely. As you all know, PUD 3 regularly performs maintenance in the city right-of-way, at least once a week, probably. Instead of requiring them to come in each time, they're going to perform a simple maintenance task and get a right-of-way permit. We are proposing an interlocal agreement that issues them an annual right-of-way permit. They would pay $1,000 per year for the permit, and the contract would be good for 5 years. This is a mutually beneficial contract. Saves the city a lot of time on the permitting aspect, and it also saves PUD 3 a lot of time and hassle of having to come in and get a permit each time they do maintenance. This strengthens a great working relationship with a community partner, and it also protects each of us from liability of working without the permit.
Sounds good.
Any questions or comments?
Oh, I would like to say that I generally am in favor of making our process more efficient, definitely. I have a question about the annual permit fee of $1,000. Is that, how did you come up with that figure?
So the cost, it is a cost savings to them versus coming in for each individual permit. The problem is that was such a hassle that wasn't actually happening. They would call and let us know that they were doing the work, and we would give them permission.
Mm-hmm.
I was not involved in the price setting, so I'm not sure how exactly that number was come up with.
We can talk a little bit about it. So this arrangement had been in place before.
Mhm.
There was somewhat of a disagreement between our side and their side in years past, and we dissolved that agreement. So this is a similar number to what was used before, and we took a look at what they would pay now versus what we pay in staff time. We roughly came out to that number.
So that's for 5 years. Anywhere in between, in the 5 years timeline, can that be adjusted? It can be adjusted.
This would be a contract for 5 years. If we needed to adjust, we could go back to them, and
Okay.
they've been good to work with on
Yeah.
everything else we've worked with in the last half year, so I don't think we would have a problem with them, but this contract would be a contract for 5 years at $1,000 a year.
Okay, so that's $1,000 per year. Do we have any idea how much the individual permits have cost, right-of-way permits?
$75, I believe.
Per each time, and I realize that that's unpredictable because when they have to go in. Yeah, I like the efficiency of this. I would like to keep track of, what the actual costs are so that if we need to adjust those prices or that fee within the next time that we're negotiating, that sounds fine to me.
And it is in the contract that they still notify us when they're going to do work, so we'll still be able to keep track of those.
Mm-hmm.
You said they come in, they do work once a week, about once a week in the city?
It was just on average, but yeah, a lot of their maintenance in city limits is on public right-of-way.
Okay.
Well, that's probably now at this point, maybe what we need to do is not bring this back next week. We need to think about the fee. Because the fee may have been a past fee, may have been something that we wrote in 1962 or something, and that if it was once a week, that'd be 75 a week, times 4, that'd be 300 a month, times 10 is 3,000 plus another 6, $3,600 a year. Obviously, when you do something bulk, you get a discount and things like that. So I don't know, I guess because of how many times they do it, and then against the fee thing, I think I would probably feel more comfortable in this situation on not putting this on the action agenda for next week, bring it back under business agenda, and probably have some other answers on the fee and more realistic on exactly how many times they do it. And I'm not looking at trying to dig them for $1 million, but it seems there's some concern on this commission concerning the fee and the amount of times they do that. So could we do that? Does that sound okay with you?
Yeah, I would like that.
Okay, so I think what we're going to do is not put this on the action agenda for next week, but bring it back under the business agenda with the questions possibly on realistically how many times per year they do that, and then we're exactly on the $1,000 fee if that needs to be looked at a little closer. I think it seems like we all have a little bit of a thought on that. So.
Yep.
And I have a further question too, as far as for each of the permits or each instance, what is our staff time involved in that?
The permitting process, so it would be submitted, then divvied out for review, which takes time. and everybody gets their comments back, and it's either placed on hold or accepted and granted, which for something like trimming trees or replacing a pole, which they do all the time, just seems unnecessary.
So what the blanket agreement would be is that our staff wouldn't be involved in that review each time?
Yeah, correct. We wouldn't be issuing a permit over and over again. This is only for repairs that have minimal or no impact to traffic. It's standard operational maintenance.
Okay. And who would determine that?
That would be agreed upon between us and the PUD.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Logan, appreciate it. All right, next we have a item on the agenda, number 3, concerning Basin 3 sewer project, and our Public Works Director, Craig Gregory, will approach the bench.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. As you agreed to move forward with Basin 3 project, we had a design that we did tell you about before we moved forward with that project that was unfit to move forward with. We have gone back to Parametrics, who did the original design that was completed in 2014 and has sat on the shelf since then. We have gone back to them and negotiated a price to complete those that design, to get it bid ready to put on the street. And it started off, first look at it was $114,000 that came back from Parametrics. We have pared that back somewhat and negotiated a better price, and we have landed on $62,000 to complete the full design of those that project. So we have saved substantially in that.
Yeah.
Save the city money.
Yep.
Good job.
And that has been done through city staff. We are going to take on some of the tasks that we originally had them looking at, and then through negotiations, we have dialed that back.
So are we getting less for that amount? I mean, I realize city staff is going to take on part of the design work, but is Parametrics still going to give us a design that will incorporate all that we had asked from them?
Yes, we are doing very little staff work.
Okay.
We just basically drew back some of their time, and through negotiations landed on the price of $62,000.
Good.
Very good.
All right, any other questions or comments for Craig? Okay, so it appears we concur for this item, and we'll place this on the action agenda for March 13, 2017, and that completes the report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any administration reports at this time?
None tonight.
Any administration final touches?
Just one. Last week, we did the alley vacation letter that we talked about. Next week, we're going to bring forward some more information on that alley vacation to get that process moving forward.
Okay,
So the letter's been sent out. Now we need to get on with the actual vacation.
Okay.
thank you very much. Our next meeting will be on March 13th, 2017, at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. This meeting is adjourned. Good job on that $1,000.
Well, I
You know
mean,
what?
that seems